Okay, hi everybody. I am here with another of the part of random series where I kind of go over what decks I take when I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks. And this time, so I'll put a link to the last one where I took every deck that I needed to do any reading that would come up from my shop. And so got it down to, I believe it was 29 decks that would allow me to do any reading that might, get sold while I was gone. So this time, when I got ready to come down, I really wanted to get where I didn't have to bring so many decks. And so I went into my doubles collection because I have doubles of quite a few of my favorite decks. And I thought, okay, how can I build a set of decks that would allow me to do all the readings that I need to do, and not have to bring any decks, or maybe at minimum have to just bring a few decks. So that's what we're going to look at today. And I've been using these for a couple weeks now, or 2 weeks now almost, and sort of how is it working out, and that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to go over. Now, I have a couple books. So the reference books that I brought with me are, and this, I mean, I could obviously make a copy of this, but this is my, and I have videos on this, but this is sort of my um, all things reference. So I have some quick reference pages that I pull out a lot with runes and oghams and things like that. I have, these are all pendulum boards. I have projects that I'm working on that I want to keep track of. And then I have my For Love of Divination that has all the references in there. And then my spreads and things like that. So this is all in here. I also have a cover for it, but I didn't bring the cover. I just brought it like this. So that's there. I also brought my Weaver's Oracle Guidebook because when I do a web reading, I do read the story. So I need to have the story of the Weaver. So I have that. I brought the Art History Tarot for Past Lives because when I use this for date and time, place and time, I need this. I need to make up a chart of the place and time. Then I would just be fine with just having that chart. So that's something I need to do. And then when I do past life readings, I use information from Judy Hall's Past Life Astrology. So I always bring this with me. So reference books wise, these are what I brought with me that would go back to the house. So I wouldn't leave or my apartment. I did have to bring 3 extra books because I'm teaching my tarot class right now. And so I always talk about the 3. Like if I had only 3 tarot books, it would be Tarot of the Open Reading by Yoav Bendov. For Marseille style reading, it would be, here, I guess I'll go this way, Holistic Tarot by Benabel Wen for all things Rider-Waite-Smith. And then if I recommend, if you have 1 tarot book, it be Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom, because a lot of different reasons. But my favorite things about this is that she gives you images from different types, including Marseille, including Rider-Waite-Smith, including more modern, renditions of the deck. She also gives you the different ways in which the cards might have been interpreted across different time periods. So it's just a good all-round, if you only have 1 book, this is what I would recommend. Sadly, we have lost Rachel Pollack, both obviously in her life and in the community, and it is a very sad loss, and I wish much peace to her friends and family members, and I appreciate all that she has contributed in her life, not just in terms of tarot, but this is the book that I have always and will continue to recommend as a good 1 book wonder. So I brought these. I wouldn't normally have these with me, but because I wanted to mention them in my first tarot class that was here, I have those here. So normally I wouldn't have to bring those. So you can also see probably up here, these are not decks that I would normally bring, again, because I was going to be teaching the first of the tarot classes here I have some historical decks to reference to. Normally I would not be bringing those with me, so I'm not going to really talk much about those. I wouldn't normally be bringing those. So I guess there's not really, I'm not sure how, I'm going to pull these forward and show you, but so I have, well, I have a mix of things. I guess I should have organized here, but we'll just go with the flow. So over here I have the tarot decks that I brought because I have doubles of them. I have others that I have doubles of, but you know, I didn't think they would be useful, and I was trying to just kind of create a good mix that would cover all my reading. So I did bring Guardian of the Night. It's a tarot deck. I haven't trimmed this version of it, but it is a tarot deck, but I can also use it as an animal oracle deck, and I have used it in the past that way. So this makes a great one to bring. Her Crow Tarot, all three of these are by MJ Cullinane. Crow Tarot, and also the Forhaxa Tarot. I wish I had a backup copy, and I may put that on my list. I will say that my oracles, I have very few doubles, so I'll show you how I kind of combated that. But there are a couple that at the end of the day, or at the end of these couple weeks, I'm like, okay, I really miss these particular oracle decks and may get duplicates. But I can use Forhaxa Tarot and the Guardian of Night as an oracle, and that's a good combo. I can use Guardian of the Night with Crow Tarot. That's a good combo that I use, again, all the time. So these are really great to have the extras of and function really well. I had a backup of the Shimmering Veil Tarot. This, I think, is the one with the the gilded edges. My personal deck is the one with the plain edges, but I have this one. Again, this is fantastic I use this for Port in the Storm readings with an oracle deck, like the Faceted Garden or something like that. So I like to use this for Journey with Grief readings. I like to use this with Port in the Storm readings. I use this deck a lot for those types of readings, so I was definitely bringing that one along as a duplicate. I have Terror of the Abyss. I have my copy that was a pre-copy, like when Anna was working on this, that I use a lot. So I kept that at home and brought the mass market version here. So this has been nice because, again, I like having a black and white deck, and the storytelling nature of this deck is fantastic. So that's been a good win here. The other one that's been a big win has been The Lost Forest. Again, I have a couple. I have two of the first editions and one of the second edition. This is the first edition because I can read the text better. But this is such an amazing deck for me. It's beautiful, but it's one of those perfect space decks like the Spacious Tarot or the Lost Forest Tarot, or I'm trying to think of or even the Pagan Otherworlds if you want it more pip-like. That's beautiful, but it stays open enough to interpret it however you want to interpret it. So this is like a real win-win deck for me. I know I don't think right now you can get them, but I would contact the seller. Sometimes indie people, we sell out of something and then after a while we'll get another run of it. So I would contact them, but this has been really great to have. It's just an all-around basic deck. In that same vein, what I just said, I have a backup copy. Thankfully, I have a best friend who shifts on decks after he uses them for a while, so I do have backups of some of my favorites. But again, this is just a great deck. It's beautiful. It's a pip deck, but it's still beautiful, recognizable for a basic Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, and so it's one of those where I find that people respond well to a pip deck. I've actually been using this with, this is just random, has nothing to do with what we're talking about because this is not I don't have a duplicate of this. I had just done a walkthrough of this deck. the Cartomancer, but I have really enjoyed using this deck with the Pagan Otherworlds, which I have at home and will continue to probably work with. But these two decks have been a surprise little combo. Again, this is not a duplicate, so this is going home with me, but that's been a nice little find of a combo that I have enjoyed. So there's that. Pagan Otherworlds for the win. I thankfully have, this one has been weird. So this is the Oak, Ash, and Thorn Tarot that I love. My copy of this at home, like when I shuffled this in this version, it was the first time this has been shuffled. And it was so weird because mine at home is so broke in. You can definitely see on the sides it's got that patina that comes from using a deck for a long time. Almost all my year aheads and Wheel of the Year decks or readings for the last couple years have been with my one at home. So it's so beautifully broken, like it's like perfect broken and well known and well loved. I use it a lot. So it was kind of weird shuffling in a sort of the new version of a deck that is so well loved. So it's kind of like interesting energy shift because it feels clean and fresh and bright, but it's always like, this is my most well-loved, one of my favorite well-loved decks, but it's not. It was kind of funny to feel that difference in cracking open a new version of a well-used, well-loved deck. So I have that one. I'm going to bring these two because these are really the ones that I've shown so far are all ones I picked because of doing readings with them I've used for readings while I've been here. But of course, Darkness of Light, again, one of my favorite decks to use. I use this a lot. I don't know what edition this is. I feel like this is glossier than the one that I have at home. This may be the first edition. One of my favorite Chariot cards. So I don't know what edition this is. I feel like it's glossier than the one that I use at home all the time, but I use this deck a lot. It's just a beautiful Rider-Waite-Smith inspired deck, but it's just gorgeous. I use this a lot in past life readings. I just use this deck a lot, and so I have a duplicate of it, obviously, and so this has gotten used for sure, just for regular tarot readings, to throw in with other readings. This is just, and for past life readings, which I do a lot of, I use that for. So I have that. So those were all of like the decks that I had duplicates of that I knew that I would actually use in different kinds of readings. And then I had two duplicates I just brought for myself. I use these in my ancestor readings for myself. My all-time favorite, John Bauer. I don't really use this for clients, but I do use this for myself. And so I thought it would be nice, since I had the duplicates, it would be nice to be able to, I won't say I've never used it for clients, because I do in certain storytelling aspects or certain storytelling type decks. I will use it for clients, but not very often. This is most often used for myself, and so I brought that. And then the Vision Quest Tarot I use a lot for myself in readings. This is an older deck. I don't know. I think it's still available. I'm not sure. I use this a little more oracle-y in the sense that I really do go off the keywords here more so than the tarot. I still pay attention to the tarot meanings, but I utilize the keywords a lot with this deck, and this is kind of, for me, associated with Ancestor of the Land versus Ancestor of Blood or Ancestor of Culture, those types of things. So these two are duplicates that I had that I brought just for myself, and I have enjoyed that. And then I have a little section here. Let me just pull these. Well, let's pull these out, and then we'll come back to those in a second. So then I have my little section of cartomancy. I have my Story in Color Lenormand, which is one I've mostly used. Then I have my Nellie's deck mini version of just the Lenormand cards that I use for Lenormand Grand Tableaus. So I have both of these in this beautiful, beautiful bobby bag. I have two of these that she graciously made for me. And so one of them has those are my two Lenormands. I have a extra of a large size 1889 and a mini 1889. I use these decks a lot with Lenormand readings. These three are my most used Lenormand decks. So I had duplicates of those and brought those. This is actually a Kipper deck. I wanted to bring, Miss Mendy had given me a mini and a larger size of the original Kipper with English titles, but I really wasn't willing to give either of those up as in my main reading yet. So I brought, this is one I had just made, and I have a printed version at home, but this was the original I made on sticker paper and stuck, and they work great on these. Again, this Mako sticker paper and playing cards combo, these have been shuffled. They look brand new, like they hold up really well. So I brought that for Kipper readings. So I had a Kipper deck. So that's that. And then this is a playing card deck. Miss Queen Osset had sent me a copy of this, and I had a copy of this. So this is just beautiful playing card deck for different playing card divination, and just to have as well. So I brought that along with me for a playing card deck. Obviously I have lots of playing card decks, but this one just makes me happy. It kind of feels like spring and all of the flowers and things that are blooming. So I brought those up. So that's kind of like, you know, cartomancy. I don't know how I had these in a way that they fit, and now I'm not ever going to get them back. I don't think this one was in there. There we go. So those, again, these are all duplicates that can stay and not lose anything by it. The same thing with these. So this is a set of my I've got all the pieces. Let me sort it out. There we go. This is a set of my Oracle of Place, which I use a ton. This again was my sticker version on the different cards. These are the plant cards. These are the animal cards with an extra card that comes for people who took the class about Oracle of Place. And then this is the whole, this has been well shuffled. Again, you can see, like, using that sticker paper, it does really well. So this is my whole Oracle of Place that I actually shuffle and use. These are the animal cards and the plant cards. And then I have this separated out, but this is the Anglo-Saxon runes. That I need to put up on my site, but that I use. It's in the same format as Oracle of Place. So those are duplicates because I have the print copies at home, but I use this deck so much, so I definitely wanted a copy of this here, and I love having these originals have a purpose. So those are there. I did bring, this is not a duplicate, it's just not a deck I use. My OM deck that I use the most, I didn't want to leave here because I use it a lot. But I had this, I can't tell you, I'll try to find what it's called. I cannot remember the name of it, but it's a nice size. It has all the OMs, obviously. It has some keywords at the bottom. So it was just a nice size, and I do like the visuals of this one. And I don't use it at home because I use my other OM deck, or I just use regular OM. So this was one that I was willing to bring here, even though I don't have a duplicate of this, but I don't use it at home. So that's kind of when we start to get into the Oracle decks, it starts to get into that sort of, okay, there were a couple that I brought because I don't use those at home, but they would fit what I was looking for here. And I definitely have to do something with my Oracle decks because it's definitely, I have some holes there, but we're getting our way there. So then these are all of my, let's see, that can stay there. Yeah. Okay. So I have two sets of charm casting sets that are full sets. They have a full Lenormand in it, have the full of my system of charm casting, with the fork and the knife and the spoon, has the keys, has my whole system in it. So this is my regular set, and then I have one that's based off of Fairy Tales theme. They both read very similar at this point. They have all the things that I want in them, as well as the other random things. So I brought my regular set up here because I mostly use the Fairy Tale themed one at home. So this is up here, and this can stay up here. And I have a similar set, not the identical, no charm casting set's going to be identical, but they read the same. They fulfill the same function. So I have that, obviously, which is important to have because I do charm casting readings, obviously. This is actually a set of my journey. So I have obviously my journey tokens, but I had made this for myself. Oh, it looks like something. And I did find that this comes up, but I've kind of rectified it. I need to go back and fix this set. But anyways, I made a set of these with these black sort of bottle caps and then stickers from my Journey Oracle, and I can use that as a casting set. But see, they do, and I did find a way to kind of combat that. I'm gonna have to find a blank one for this. And I found to put Mod Podge so that it's not, so that these don't come out. But this was the first set that I made. We're just gonna talk about it while I do like this because it's kind of like a combination of the cards. It's a combination of the cards, which are beautiful with the colors on them, which I do love the colors of my Journey deck. But I will say, with my Journey system, for me, it's a casting system first. I know a lot of people prefer the cards and all of that, but for me, my first iteration of this, well, it was painted, a couple of them, and then it went to the token, but I love to cast with it. But this for me is like a mix of the two that allows me to have the colors and the beauty of the card, but still be able to cast it, because I do for myself really like casting the Journey system. So that's that, because I obviously have my wooden ones at home. And so this was one of the iterations I've played around with, of trying to get the colors and stuff like that on it and still be able to cast. So I have that up here. I have one of my casting cloths, just to have one. This is an full Anglo-Saxon rune set that I made. You can get these they're made for necklaces because they're flat on one side and rounded, so they're meant to put onto necklaces. And so I think I had to get 2 packs of these of the same stone, and then I used 2 paint markers, a gold and a white, and then I Mod Podged over the top of it to make an Anglo-Saxon set. So this is a great, for me, I love to cast. So I need to make actually another set of these because I like the size. I need to make another set of these to keep from home, but I have other Anglo-Saxon sets at home. So that's a rune casting set there. Beautiful bag by Miss Deirdre of the Bags, aka Pie Wackett's Playground. And then this is just miscellaneous casting for geomancy. I have a set of metal dice that Miss Masha sent me that I'm massively in love with, and I was very sad to leave. But this is my tried and true set that I have used for years. So that's here. I have obviously a polyhedral set. I have the coins, and I just like to have a set of these. I don't really cast with them, but I like to lay them out sometimes. So I just brought that. That's everything I need for geomancy. More than what I need for geomancy. So I have that there. So that's like casting stuff that are duplicates. Oracle-wise, I have, not surprisingly, a set of my Journey Oracles in Oracle format, because I use that for some ancestor readings and things. And I have one of the mini versions, which are in card form. I love the minis. Um, Even though I know I don't have them anymore, but I have that, and then I have that one. Again, I use this for ancestor readings. So I definitely needed a set of those. Easy peasy, or not surprising. So that's there. Now, this was one of the hard ones that are, to me, ended up being, it was going to be irreplaceable. I had two things, let's see. Yeah, two things that are kind of irreplaceable, or I can't, I need to, I feel like I have another copy of the Art History of for Past Lives, but I'm not 100% sure, and I couldn't find it off the cuff, so this is going to come back with me, but I feel like I've got another copy of this somewhere. I use this just for past lives. I use it for the where and the when. I like having it. There's nothing that really replaces it. I did think of doing a casting table that I can use like a D20 on or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to play around with it because just for the where and the whens. But so this is something that will have to go back with me, and it definitely leaves a hole in what's here. So I got to look for that at home. So that's that, which I use more, I guess, as an oracle. Then I use my Illuminated Earth Oracle. I cannot tell you how much I use that deck. It is one of my most used Oracle decks. I do not have a backup copy of it, and I definitely would not leave it here. But I wanted to try using, I had purchased the Faceted Garden, which is the second deck from the same creator as the Illuminated Earth, because I wanted to see if I could use this in the same capacity. It has a similar look, a little bit cooler tones to it, but it has a similar, obviously, look. It's beautiful, but I've never used it because I love my Illuminated Earth Oracle so much that I never use this because I'm never going to pick this over the Illuminated Earth. So I brought this, and I did not bring my Illuminated Earth, and I've really loved using this. This I've used for year ahead readings because I use that for Illuminated Earth. I've used it for ancestor readings because that's another place I use the Illuminated Earth. Those are the two main things I've used it for, but I have fallen in love with this deck because I was kind of forced to use it because I didn't bring my Illuminated Earth. So I've really loved this deck. I never just really gave it a chance because it didn't top, and I would still say if I could only have one, it would be the Illuminated Earth. But I love this deck now. I've really been able to enjoy it. I have been able to use it in the same capacity. Definitely have a different voice to it, but I don't feel like I've lost anything by not using the Illuminated Earth. So this has been a nice experience because it's a deck I've had for a long time, but just never really gave it a chance because I love the Illuminated Earth so much. That being forced to use this, I've just really enjoyed it, and it has done good in taking the same position that my Illuminated Earth has. So this has been a treat this time around. I brought two versions of, I brought a backup copy. I use Cosm Vision so much. I use it in ancestor readings and past life readings. Anything I want to get patterns and out of, I utilize this deck so much. If you've watched my channel, you know I am massively obsessed with this deck. It's amazing for past life. It's amazing for ancestor. It's amazing for looking at long-term patterns. It's just a great deck. So I brought a copy of that, and then I have the mini version, the version in the tin that I do use a lot as well. This was my original deck that was given to me before the deck came out for review purposes, and once I ordered my, when it came out and I ordered my actual copy, I trimmed that one down, so I had a small versions, and I love this deck. Well used, trimmed down deck. So I left my tin one at home and brought this one because I do use both the small and the large. And this is, again, another bag by Deirdre of the Bags. And so I brought two versions, and I have two versions of it at home because I use them both. And so I couldn't be without this deck. It's not replaceable. So that one, 100% I have two versions of this. This is one of my reigning favorite animal decks, the Untamed Spirit. I have a walkthrough of this, and so thankfully I had two copies of this. Oops, looks like I thought I saw one reversed here, out of whack. There we go. And I just love this deck. It's a great animal deck. It's just a good deck, and I love the guidebook on it. I just like her approach to, you give enough information there. I think the artwork is inspired. There's something about this artwork, I've said it before, when I know this is etched in, and there's just the artist just really, in my opinion, tapped really powerfully in. We saw bats scared the crap out of me and ended up on the ground. They were fine, but scared the crap out of me this time. But there's just something about the artwork of this deck, even though it's a black and white deck, it literally gives me goosebumps even holding it. I do think that the artist just really tapped into animal energy beautifully with this deck. So I have a duplicate of that, and this gives me a solid animal deck with having Guardians of the Night, which again is tarot, but I've used this a lot as an animal oracle deck, and so this kind of functions both for me. So between those, I have two solid animal oracles. So then I have my Shaman's Oracle. And this is another one that's been weird. I have multiple copies of this deck, backup copies, because it's really crappy cardstock. And so what I usually do, and what I currently have as my main deck, is I use it until the sides start to really chip, and then I trim it where the color's off of it, and then you get a second life out of the deck. And my current most used deck is a trimmed version of this. So again, I use this deck so much. All my ancestor readings, my main ancestor reading has this in it. For me, it's called the Shaman's Oracle, but for me, it is an ancestor oracle, pure and simple. That's how I use it. And so it was kind of weird to come back to like this fresh version of it, because mine is so well loved and used at this point. But this is just a winner of a deck for me, and so obviously I'm going to have a copy of that, and I have, again, I still have at least one other backups, because this is one of those ones I would be devastated to have it tear up and not be able to get a copy of it. So I have backups of this one. And then the other two oracle that I brought is the Halloween Oracle, which I need to get some spray paint. This was my original version, I believe. Yeah, this would have been my original version of this. And then my friend Patrick had spray painted, because I've always said I love this deck so much, but I hate the backs. Like look how gorgeous that is. And that just does not match it. So my friend Patrick had spray painted a copy of this deck, and then he eventually had sent it to me, and that's the one I use and love. So it's been weird seeing this deck with this back, because mine has not had that back for a long time. So I'm going to have to get some spray paint and spray paint this one, because I just can't stand being back to this. But this is just a great deck. I use this for ancestor readings. It's a really well functioning, well reading oracle deck, and I had a double of it, so that's why I brought that. But I don't have, other than this, I actually don't have a lot of duplicate oracle decks. And so but I did have, this is kind of similar to, in terms of story-wise, of the Faceted Garden Oracle. I use the Cosmic, what is it actually called? It might say in here. I use the Cosmic reading cards. I love, my favorite of Nari Anastasia's decks are the Cosmic reading cards. And I picked this up, and it's beautiful. There's nothing about this that I don't love, but I would never pick this over the Cosmic. I've mixed them together, but there's some cards that feel similar enough that I don't really love mixing them together. Sometimes I still do mix them together, but I just love the Cosmic reading cards, and so I always have that one out, and I always pull from it. So again, I thought, well, this just sits in my box because I don't use it. I'm not going to pull this over the cosmic reading cards. So I brought this up with me instead, not as a duplicate, but in a way it feels like a duplicate. I still say that the cosmic reading cards are my absolutely favorite of her deck, but this has been beautiful to use. It's worked in the same capacity. It's a great one to pull as sort of the end of a tarot reading. It's just, I've really enjoyed using this because I haven't used this so much. I've used it more than the Faceted Garden, but I haven't used it so much because I always pick the cosmic reading cards. So again, it's been nice to use it because it just wasn't getting used, and I really enjoyed it. So these two have been fun sort of wins because they're decks that I brought sort of as they never are going to take the place of the original at home when I had them both. But here I got a lot of use out of them and got to really fall in love with them. So that's been fun process with those. But I still do feel like I don't have, like, I think I need to get a duplicate of my Into the Lonely Woods. That sort of evocative energy I feel like is missing, that I wish I would have had. So I definitely feel like there's a gap in a little bit in my Oracle decks. I also brought, I have a copy. This was actually the first deck somebody had sent me. There was some something wrong with, I think it was something might have been chipped on it. I can't remember. This was sent without the book to me. And as soon as I held this deck, I had to have the book. You couldn't get the book any other way than getting the deck again. So I ordered the set again, which is the one I have. So I have a set of the Weaver's Oracle. I have to still bring the book, but I have this set. Again, this is a deck I use a lot. And for my web reading, I have to have it for 100%. And then I also like to just pull a grandmother sometimes. So this is an important deck to have a copy of. So that I have. I did again have to bring in, we'll have to take back the book, but I've got the deck here. I need to get a case for it. I need to talk to Miss Deirdre of the Bags to get a new case for that. So those are all of the decks that are can stay here. I got a small, it's not temperature controlled up here, so I'm a little leery to leave decks, but other things are left that are fine. So I got a sealed container to pack up those all away and keep, that I won't have to carry them back and forth. And again, this stuff is just because I had started a tarot class, so that won't stay here. The extra ones, what you see over here, I brought these just for myself. So my friend Patrick I had done a walkthrough of Beauty of the Bones Tarot, but I haven't had much chance to use it because I was leaving. So I wanted to bring it just for myself to, to have it to use. And I've really enjoyed using this, but what I've really enjoyed using it with is this. So my friend Patrick sent me Oracle of the Roses, and I haven't done a walkthrough of this yet. I need to do so. But this is a really great sort of one card person kind of archetype type. We have the Knight, the Pioneer, the Seeker, the Innovator, the Architect, the Hero, the Challenger. It's all based on roses. But you have these really like archetypes to embody energy that I think is fantastic. So I've been pulling for myself, shuffle, 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 pull a card, right, be the caregiver, and then I've used this with Beauty of the Bones, and I've pulled, 2 tarot cards, and I've really enjoyed the combination of these 2 decks. These are going back. I don't have doubles of these, but this was just more, I wanted to bring these for myself to play with, and I've really enjoyed working with these 2 together. I would say in combination together, they feel kind of like the Mysteries of Mary Tarot. It feels like in combination, it feels like that's deck. So it's been really good for me for my own personal readings. This is what I've kind of been using, which I have of course really enjoyed. So these 2 are not ones that I have duplicates of. These are not staying up here, but I brought them with me to play and have again really been able to get to know them and play with them and enjoy these two decks in combination. Lastly, I have obviously my Nellie's deck that this won't get left up here, but eventually I will have a copy of it. This is, all of the minors are done in this version of it, but my majors I have as text only. Now the majors are done. I'm waiting. I thought it would be here by now. Obviously, things like that never go as quickly as you want them to. So I'm currently waiting for the full last sample deck to show up. But that obviously is up here for me, so I could do some pictures. And I use this. I've been using this deck for a couple years now in its current state, and so that's up here, obviously. And eventually, I will have a secondary copy that will just stay up here. But right now, that goes in the pile of going back with me. And then the other decks I have that I did bring, I talked to you about the card man. I brought that because I wanted to do a walkthrough of it, and I've actually used this with client readings as well, as I said, along with the oh my gosh, my brain is, I've said too many decks, Pagan Otherworlds. I've enjoyed that with the Pagan Otherworlds, but that's going back. And then these two I brought up because I want to do, same reason for this. They're ones that this was sent to me just before I came to do a walkthrough of, so I want to get that done in the next couple days, called the Cottage Core Oracle. And I've had this one, I already have done a walkthrough of it, but I lost it when my computer crashed. And so I need to redo the walkthrough of the Old Gods Tarot by Scylla Conway. You know I love her decks. I've gone through and put everything back into order. So I brought these with me because I wanted to have, when I had the time to do a walkthrough, I would be able to work on these. So that's why I brought these three. But normally these aren't staying here. So there we go. That's another look at the decks that I've brought with me for a couple weeks of being out of town. But mostly I wanted to do that because this is sort of beginnings of like a secondary doubles collection that can just stay here, so I don't have to pack up so many decks. And it's worked really well. Other than, like I said, I do feel like my oracles, because I don't have a lot of duplicates of oracles, feels a little bit like I wish I had a couple other energies to them that mostly I would say something. I think I'll probably just, I feel like if I just get a Into the Lonely Woods to leave here, that, but although I mostly pull that for myself, I don't use that a lot. Like the Lantern Oracle, I miss the Lantern Oracle. I use that a lot in ancestor readings at the top card that I do. So I could see, which I've been using the Halloween Oracle, which has been beautiful in that capacity. But I think, truthfully, if I had a repeat of the Lantern Oracle, maybe Into the Lonely Woods is for my own self, sort of. It's such a nourishing deck. Those two decks, I think then I would feel like with oracles even, I had everything that I would need that way. So not too bad. Not too bad from shopping from my duplicate collection and or just oracle decks I don't use a lot at home. And so now they're getting some use, and I've kind of fallen in love with the other two decks. So it's been fun. And yeah, there we are. I hope you enjoyed this and that you have a wonderful rest of your day.